Okay, thank you, sir and guys. So we begin by praise Him, Allah. We praise Him, we seek His help, and we ask for His forgiveness. We seek refuge with Allah from the evil of ourselves and from the evil consequence of our evil action. Who is ever Allah guide, there's none to misguide, and who is ever Allah leave to go astray, there's none to lie. Okay, so for today's presentation on professional development for English language educators is about action research. So let's start with what is actually mean by action research. And probably you guys already heard about the classroom action research, and probably you already conduct the research. And for the meaning of the action research, it is a practical action to solve a classroom problem. So basically it's about a teacher conduct a classroom research that seeks to clarify and resolve practical teaching issues and problems. So when we say action research, it usually refers to classroom action research. So the term action research comes from two terms, action and research. Action is a practical action to solve classroom problems, and the research is a systematic approach to carrying out investigations and collecting information that is designed to eliminate an issue or problem and to resolve classroom problem. So action research refers to classroom action research, and the purpose of it is to resolve classroom problems. Okay, the next slide is about the characteristic of the action research. And for the goal of the action research is to improve teaching and learning in schools and classroom. And then the second is it is intended to help resolve problems rather than simply be research for its own sake. So what it means is basically the classroom action research tends to solve some problems in classroom interaction. So the research is try to find the problems and then try to resolve the problem so a teacher can improve his professional development. And for I think it's the procedure, it is to conduct during the process of regular classroom teaching, and is usually a small scale because the research is only take place in the classroom. And then it can be carried out by an individual teacher or in collaboration with other teachers. So we can do the research individually and also collaboratively with the teacher colleagues. And the next slide is about the purpose and benefits of action research. And this is the purpose of classroom action research by Gell, 1993, and page 391. There are at least 5 purposes of action research. One is action research contributes to the theory and knowledge base needed for enhancing practice. And second is it supports the professional development of practitioners. As I already stated earlier, that with action research, you can improve your professional development. And third, it builds a collegial networking system. For sometimes it involves several educators, even students and parents working together. So the general research, usually the doer of the research is the researcher or the author. Now in action research case, the participants of the research it could be the teacher, it could be the students or the parents working together and result some outcomes and to solve some classroom problems. The fourth, the classroom action research helps practitioners identify problem and seek solution in a systematic fashion. So it is not just a teacher tries to find some solution in the classroom process, but rather it is a systematic way or systematic strategy. It needs some methodology to identify problem and seek for the solution. That's why we call it action research. And number 5, it can be used at least at all level and in all areas of education, such as a mean of in-service training for principal. So we can do a classroom action research even in-service training for principal. Now, here we come to benefits of the classroom action research by Leky 2016. Number 1, the benefit is the action research powers professional growth. And it's actually similar to the previous explanation. And second is make change manageable. So the benefits of the action research, when you find problems in the classroom and you try to make the solution to change your teaching style in the classroom, and the change that you make is you can manage the change. So you can see what is actually going on and what is the best strategy to manage the classroom and to find the solution for the classroom problem. The third is to promote collaboration. Of course, the classroom action research also allows us to collaboratively working together and find the solution in the classroom process. Love being shared. So action research is basically the collaborative way to search for problems and to find the solution. And the solution we can share to each other about the solution that we have found. And the fifth can power systems change. And then the sixth, it can develop self-awareness. So basically, the benefits of the classroom action research or action research is to develop self-awareness and develop our professional field, like that. So the next slide is about the procedures of action research. So there are some general phases in the procedures of the action research, including planning, action, observing, and reflection. And the detail of the phases is expanded in some cycles. So this is the basic cycles of the action research. The first cycle is, as a teacher, we need to select an issue or concern to examine in more detail. For example, the teacher's use of questions. So sometimes in a classroom, when the teacher asks some question to the students, even the easiest question, sometimes the students cannot understand and even answer the question. Why? Because the way the teacher asks the question will influence how the students understand the question and answer the question. So by understanding the issue about the teacher's use of question, the teacher can find the solution, and later on he will change the style or the strategy to ask a question to the students. And the second is, as a teacher, we need to select a suitable procedure for collecting information. So after we examine the issue or after we explore the issue in our classroom, we need to select the suitable procedure for collecting information about the issue. So for example, recording classroom lesson. When it comes to classroom process, sometimes we did not realize that some critical problem or important issue appearing in our classroom process. So by recording the classroom lesson, we can be more detailed in collecting the information about the issue related to the classroom process. The next cycle is collect the information and analyze it and decides what change might be necessary on his or her teaching. So after collecting the information and after analyze it, we need to decide what changes might be necessary. So in this cycle, we start to develop some strategy or some technique or methodology to, kind of try to solve the problem that we already analyzed. And the next is develops an action plan to help bring about the desired change in the classroom behavior. For example, a plan to reduce the frequency with which the teacher answers a question. So after we decide what is the best changes we can make from our style or from our teaching methodology in our classroom, we need to develop an action plan. What it means by action plan here is some sort of like research methodology or like research procedure to help bring about the desired change in classroom behavior. Okay, so the next is observe the effect of the plan and teaching behavior. So for example, by recording a lesson and analyzing the teacher's question behavior and reflect on its significance. And then the last cycle is initiate a second action cycle if necessary. So when we think that the first cycle is not good enough to collect information and to sort of resolve the classroom problem, and then we need to do a second action cycle if it's necessary. And this is the procedures of action research by Burns, 2002, including 11 aspects. One is exploring, and it's basically finding an issue to investigate. The Burns action research cycle here is similar to what I have already explained. And second is identifying and analyzing the issue in more detail to understand it more fully. After we find the issue, we have to analyze the issue. And then after analyzing the issue, we need to develop an action planning to decide what kind of data to collect about the issue and how to collect it. So as I stated earlier, that this cycle is like the research procedure that we need to develop. And then the fourth cycle is collecting the data, and we basically collect the data about the issue that we already find in the classroom process, and then analyzing or reflecting. We analyze the data that we already collected, hypothesizing and speculating. And this is the cycle when we arrive at the understanding of the issue based on the data that we are collected. And then the next cycle is intervening. So in this step, we start to make some changes in the classroom practice based on the hypothesis that we are already arrived at or that we already understand. And then the next observing. So in this step, we observing what happened as a result of the changes. So after we implement our strategy, or after we do the change in our classroom process, we need to re-observe what happened as a result of the changes. We need to sort of evaluate the changes that we already make. The next is reporting, and it's basically describing what we have already observed. And then the next is writing. This is basically we writing up the results. It could be in the form of presentation, or in journal, or in the workshop, or another model of the reporting. And then the last step is presenting. So presenting the findings to another teacher. So this is the output of the sharing ideas purpose. The more detail about the procedure for action research is number one, select an issue. And in this procedure, action research begins with a concern when a teacher has about his or her classes, or with an issue the teacher would like to explore and learn about. So as I explained earlier, we need to select an issue, an important issue that we think that the issue could lead to the result of our teaching and learning process. So not all the issue in the classroom we can do the research about, but of course we can do the research for all the issue that appear in our classroom process. But when it comes to action research, it needs to be an important issue in the classroom process. So sometimes I need to check the Google Meet. Okay, and the example of the first step here is, for example, we find an issue or some issues in our classroom that some of students in our speaking class never seems to take part in speaking activities. So this related to the passive students. So when we see the problem, we need to consider that this is important, and that's why we need to conduct action research. Or, for example, no matter how many times we correct certain errors in our students' writing, they seems to continue making the errors. So we need to find the solution for what is the main problem that caused the students not be able to correct or to learn from the errors they made. The next procedure or stage is collect information about the issue. So a further exploration of some aspect of teaching to collect information on what the current characteristic of one's teaching are, or what is happening in the classroom in relation to the issue. So in collecting information about the issue, when we see an issue appear in our classroom, like for example, some of our students do not take part in speaking activities, we need to see what the current characteristic of our teaching or what is happening in the classroom. So the students do not take part. So we need to see the cause of the issue. For example, what kind of speaking activities involve all the classes in speaking activity? Of course, because if we conduct a speaking activities that doesn't involve all the students, then of course some of our students will be passive in our classroom. Or the other example is what change in error correction strategies might improve the accuracy of students' writing. Okay, and the next procedure is develop an action plan, and this is where we developed our plan to solve the problem. So the teacher is in a position to try to do something about it. This will normally involve making changes in the way the teacher teaches, in the materials he or she makes use of, or in the forms of assessment that are employed. So when it comes to develop an action plan, a teacher might directly make the changes in the classroom related to the way he or she teach, or the material he or she use, or the form of assessment. Maybe sometimes your teaching style or your teaching strategy is good, the material you use is good, but when the assessment you're doing is not effective, or what is it, not accurate, then it may lead the teacher to the wrong interpretation about the student's characteristic. For the example, the teacher tried to ask the question, what I have to do related to the, for example, the way the group work and error correction are carried out in the classroom. And the next procedure is share the findings with others, and this is the purpose of the action research, that we can share our experience with other teacher, or we can share our findings to another teacher and to our colleagues. We can do it in many ways. For example, an oral or written presentation to colleagues, and then writing an article like what we usually done through our lecturer, and then communicating with an internet forum or discussion group, and then giving a workshop, and then creating and displaying a poster about the action research, and then preparing a video presentation about the action research. So that's some sort of ways we can use to share to each others about our findings of some certain important issue in our classroom and how we find the solution about the issue. And I think that's all for my presentation. And I'm really sorry that I forgot that today is my presentation, so I just made the PPT really in a hurry. So if you guys still do not understand, or if you have a question, please don't hesitate to ask. And if I try my best to answer the question, and if I cannot answer the question, maybe Sir Bambang will help to explain about your question. And I think that's all. Thank you for your attention, and time for you to ask the question.
Mas Abdul, please check comments, please.
Okay, guys, please, if you have any questions. Oh, the question is already written in the message box.
What is the different benefits of our professional growth and promotes collaboration? Okay, so what I understand from Mbak Rahel's question is, what is the difference between powers professional growth and promotes collaboration, and give example. So professional growth means that our professional development. This is especially for basically for the novice teacher when they have a lack of experience in teaching, and with the accent research they can improve their professional development. So like, for example, teaching strategies, how they deal with the students, and how they deal with some particular problems that appear in the classroom, and how they understand the main cause of the problems that appear in the classroom, and by that they can find the solution for the problems that they found. So that's for the professional growth. So like professional development. And then for promotes collaboration is, accent research. We can do accent research alone, and we can do accent research collaboratively with our colleagues and our friends as a teacher. And, sometimes we cannot do the accent research alone, and sometimes we need to involve in our research in terms of we try to find the solution within the classroom problem. So we need another teacher or colleagues to collaboratively work with us to together find the solution of the classroom process. And the more important thing from that is we can share each other's knowledge and what we have from our research. So I hope that answered the question, but Rahel, before I move to...
Yes, thank you, Mas Abdul. Enough your answer.
Okay, thank you too. So the question from Rani, what is the difference between a case study and accent research in educational research? Okay, case study is a general topic. I think it's the field is wider than accent research, because accent research is only take place in the classroom, but in case study it happens in many fields. Like, for example, for the teacher development, we study about the teacher stress and resilience, and I think that's a type of case study. And for the accent research is, in particular, it's related to the classroom process. So I think the field of the case study is wider than the accent research. Of course, in educational research, we also need a case study. For example, I already mentioned the teachers' the teachers' confusion. So this particular topic, for example, teachers' stress and teachers' confusion when first enter the job, does not need action research. It's a type of case study. But when it comes to when it comes to classroom interaction, it is an classroom action research. So I think that's the difference, Mbak Rani. I hope that answered the question, or you may have another question.
So you mean that case study emphasis on observing and analyzing?
Actually, action research is also do an observation, but the field of the case study is wider than the action research. Action research is more particular in the classroom, and case study, it can be for the teacher or for the principal or for the educational authority. But action research is basically for the teacher and the students in the classroom. I think that's the difference.
Which one? Action research or case studies can focus on a particular phenomenon for a longer period of time. Which one? Case studies or action research?
I think case study is more applicable or more appropriate with the long time period of the problems,
Yeah, I
because
agree with you because action research actually focuses on solving the immediate problem, right?
yeah, that's right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Barani, for your question. So, any other question, guys?
More questions, please, guys. Okay, guys. I think Abdul has already presented very well, and the material is also so interesting. It's about classroom action research. I believe we already discussed one article in other subjects, and he also has answered all the questions. So I think we can end today's sessions. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much, everyone, for your participations. Abdul, please make sure after you upload it and then you send the link. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.